This is an end-to-end demo of the Oceanside Oasis website and back-end administrative system. So on the right-hand side, I'll be in the persona of a potential guest who will eventually book. I'm in an incognito window on the site. And on the left-hand side, I'm authenticated as an administrator. So we can see the Oasis administrative dashboard that's hosted on the website. This is only accessible based on authenticated users that I designate. So right now that's just me and our manager. We can see here, this will include all reservations. This is our task management system. So these are all of the recurring tasks that we do from a maintenance standpoint at the house. We can see this table view where we can see everything that we need to do. I can edit these and reassign tasks if needed. We have this calendar view for things that are upcoming. This focus list is everything in the next 30 days that's high priority. So if something happens, if we need a repair or something like that, someone can quickly just create a high priority task. And then we have the ability to send email and SMS reminders if something is overdue. Okay, so let's move back to the right-hand side. So as a potential guest, we'll just do a quick tour of the site. So we see this big hero image of the backyard. See some of our ratings here, some of the details, some of our features. This is our gallery. So clicking here will take you to the gallery view. All of our of the house. These have all been optimized by various AI tools. So you can see, these are obviously high quality images to begin with, but then we went through and have the ability to automatically optimize and tag all of these. What I used to do that was just VS Code with the Claude CLI plugin with Opus 4.8. It's not letting me move that to the left-hand side, but I have my IDE VS Code running here in another screen. And then a really cool feature that we have, let's quickly look at some of these testimonials. So whenever people check out, there'll be a testimonial flow, which will show in a bit. And then once approved by an admin, they'll populate here. All the information that you see here is available in our Restore Firebase. So this is a super cool feature, this map, where you can see where the O'side Oasis is in Oceanside. You can see some of our favorite destinations here, and then there's icons for all of those. So let's go over to the safari park. It tells you how far it is, and you can see where it is. So this is fully customizable. This was just based on 12 of our favorite locations in Oceanside, but whatever you want to highlight here, whether it be locations or restaurants, you can add those images and it will automatically update the map. So this ends the general overview section. Next, we're going to go into our concierge, Oasis concierge agent, and we'll talk through how this was created in Vertex AI. And then we're also going to go through a couple questions to see how it responds to a potential renter. All right, so this is a continuation of the Oceanside Oasis end-to-end demo. So we're now going to go through our O'side Oasis concierge agent. So I'm going to ask it a pretty complex question. So I'm thinking about booking a stay in October of this year. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so I'm not familiar with San Diego weather. I will have 3 kids with these ages. Can you recommend some activities for us? What weather can I expect? And if I purchase pool heating, how warm will the pool be? So for anyone familiar with Vertex AI or agents, the reason why this is complicated is because these are multiple different areas which will require multiple different tools. So the first one is the agent's going to have to run through an inference model to figure out what it is this user really needs. When it's asking for recommendations, so it's going to have to go reference our house manual with the recommendations we have, but it's also going to have to think about, are those things that we're recommending optimized for kids of these ages? And if not, it's going to have to go conduct open internet retrieval augmented generation to find any other things in the area that may be happening and answer this question for the user. This weather question, it's going to go have to look at historical data for the area and speculate on what the weather might be. And then for the pool heating question, we have some detailed data on how warm the pool has been historically when the heater was on. So it's going to have to reference that for October and answer the question. So let's go ahead and paste this in the chat as this guest, and we'll see how it answers these relatively challenging questions. Okay, so that only took about 3 seconds. So we're using Gemini 2.5. Gemini 2.5 Flash. So the reason for that is for our ability to get quick responses like we've just seen. So let's go through this. So we can see this warm greeting here. A truly lovely time to visit here at the O'side Oasis. It's often referred to as our second summer in Southern California. So the contextual training we've had for this agent is based on Marriott's concierge agent. So it's deliberately trying to be warm and human-like, but obviously we're being very specific that it's an actual agent and it's not a person. So we can see here it went and figured out approximately what weather to expect in October. Even though the user didn't ask what the pool heating cost is, we've provided it some training for certain questions to always just give information. So this is an example of something we get asked all the time. So by default, we just inform the user that it's $100 per day. And then check this out. So based on our past data, you can expect the pool to reach 80 degrees by 9:42 a.m. So this is what I was talking about. So separately, we did a detailed analysis of all of our pool heater sensors to figure out, based on the ambient temperature and the month, really what people care about is when the pool reaches 80. That's a pretty warm pool, so that's our threshold. We set the pool to 85 when it's heated, but so it interpolated that data based on the specific date range. It knows if the pool heater is on, approximately when it will reach 80 degrees. Let's continue through here. So it's adding some of the features at the house for kids of these ages. Legoland is obviously a big attraction. So this is something that we don't have in the house manual. So this is an example of the concierge agent just went and figured this out. The zoo and safari park are in our manual. But so overall, we can see that the agent was able to handle a very complex question. So a couple different things it was asked. Now let's go ahead and be more technical. So let's now ask the agent help to actually book. This all sounds great. How do I book reservation? What process can I expect? Okay, so that only took about 2 seconds. Let's see what it tells us about the process. And see, this is great. So I'll go ahead and click request to stay. Whoops. Okay, so while recording this, I actually found an issue. So I'm currently not authenticated on the site here on the right. So the chatbot lost context of that conversation. So I'm actually fixing that in real time. But while we do that, let's actually go through the authentication experience as a guest, and then we'll actually submit a booking request. Okay, so let's say a guest wants to book the Oasis. So the first thing to acknowledge is that Airbnb is our primary booking platform. It doesn't offer direct APIs to anyone. So it has a short list of providers that do that. So if we wanted real-time synchronization with booking, we'd have to pay for it. And it's also not real time. So they run it in batch. So there are a couple options to do this. We could have decided on a manual process where we would go poll Airbnb and try to upload our reservations, but it would have been impossible to have a real-time synchronization. So the booking strategy we chose is the following. So we're firstly, capitalizing on the human element here. We're telling people we're an independent property. Airbnb doesn't offer direct integrations. So we're informing the user that Airbnb is going to be the source of truth for pricing and availability. We're highlighting here the benefits of a direct booking. So based on Airbnb pricing, guests will get a 10% discount. If they have questions, we have this link here. So this is the details of how it works, and let's just read through this. So we're just kind of telling them, about how things work and the costs of Airbnb. We're giving them the steps. So you'll request your dates. We're telling them that we're going to have a small deposit. So the reason why this is important, we process everything through Stripe, but what we don't want to have happen is we reserve dates for someone, and then when it comes time for when we actually charge them for that, we figure out their credit card doesn't work, right? So Airbnb doesn't have that problem because typically people have already booked before. But so that's why we have to require a small deposit. We also don't have the benefit of Airbnb's insurance anymore. So that's why we have them sign a rental agreement digitally, which just has some legal terminology to help protect us. And then, we will respond within 24 hours. So anytime a reservation request is submitted, I will get an email. Elise will get an email. We'll also both get texts, and then I'll show what that experience looks like, where this is automatically going to calculate how much we should charge that person based on the 10% discount. And then when we go back to the numbers, Airbnb charges the customer 14%, and it charges us 3%. So when we offer a 10% discount, we're still netting, 7% profit. Okay, so let's go back to this other page. So the experience of a renter would be to view Airbnb. So this is going to be the source of truth for pricing as well as availability. So let's go check a week in October. Let's go the 14th through the 21st. And we'll have 7 guests. Okay, so a potential renter should come here. They'll see, the total price. They validate the availability. So what they should do is come back here. They view the availability. Now, this is blocked by authentication. The reason for that is because we're almost already fully booked on Airbnb, at least 2 to 3 months out. So we don't want fake reservations, and we definitely don't want spam. So by forcing a user to sign up, this allows us to make sure it's an actual human user. So we're now going to sign up. We'll go test basis at hotmail.com. Okay, then continuing, so in the user database on the left in Firebase, we can see our new user is there. So signing up now is going to allow the user to submit a booking request. So this user experience is they should request the dates that they want, 14th through the 21st. And while we're doing this, let's just say someone's concerned about this happening. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here for the booking. Should I submit a request on Airbnb? And how do I know my request will be honored? So with that process, we'll finish this booking. I'll just put in my number. Tuesday, be here with my 3 kids. Now, this is something I'm not going to have time to demo during this, but so we do have a referral program. So what we want to do for past guests is we want them to basically market the Oasis for us. There's going to be a QR code in the house that explains the system to them. But so if someone books that was referred by someone who stayed based on email address, and that's going to be in our database over here on the left, the referrer will get a 5% discount on their next booking. So that's what this is here. Okay, so we can see we're not displaying pricing here yet. All the user is going to do is submit their request. We have a very clear cancellation policy which aligns with Airbnb. So full refund. If you cancel 30 more days before check-in, no refund within 30 days. So we'll submit this request. Let's go ahead and read through what the concierge told us. Okay, so while we're listed on platforms, the best way to book is directly through the website, which is what we want. It's reiterating this deposit concept because that's important for people to understand. Okay, so we've received the reservation. So now let's go through what happens. So I'll go now over to my administrator email. So the first thing is I get an email that someone requests a book, right? And we'll go through what this looks like in a sec. Okay, and so in real time, I'm going to debug this. We just fixed the context problem over here. So now we can see that when I'm switching pages now on the right, so it retains context, which is great. Okay, but so let's go to Google Voice. So Elise and I both received this text message here to our Google Voice accounts. So clicking on that, it's going to take us to the admin dashboard. Let's take a look at the reservations. So the way this is supposed to work, so via text and email should direct both of us to this dashboard. Only the management team can see this based on authenticated username through Google SSO. So this is going to give us the ability, I can open this text here and we can talk directly to this person. So this is the phone number that I put in. So this would be the guest phone number if we need to contact them. Or, you know, this will open an email client. So for that user, we have their email and phone number both stored here. Okay, and then so here's how the actual approval process should work. So what we do have to do as an admin to just make this as easy as possible is we're gonna have to actually go into Airbnb and just see what the price is. So again, on the left-hand side, I'm the admin. I just received this booking request. It's for October 14th through the 21st. So I'll do this as an admin. Ah, shoot, so sorry. We'll have to do this in an incognito window as an admin. But so I'm just gonna use this one on the right because I'm already in incognito. So what we want is this total price here. And then we'll see what our system does over here on the left. So the reason why we want the total price is because we already know everything's baked in so that we don't have to maintain two pricing systems. So what this is going to do, because Airbnb kind of just hides their fees, right? It's very unclear what they're doing. This includes occupancy tax, this includes Airbnb fees, it includes cleaning, it includes everything. But so we're going to back out the cleaning price. We're going to credit the renter 14% on price. And then that's going to be the new rent amount here. Okay, so in real time, this calculation is actually incorrect. It's not taking out the already charged occupancy tax, so this is going to be fixed while I'm doing this. I'm also going to reduce this because I actually have to pay for this as part of the demo. So we're going to just do, but so anyways, this is going to allow an admin to calculate the total price. It's also going to charge the user immediately and let them know what they'll be charged 7 days before check-in. So we're going to do $15 here. Okay, and it's going to include the cleaning fee, but that's fine, so because I'm going to cancel. Okay, so we'll confirm and approve on the left. So now on my phone, right now back in the persona of a guest, I just receive a text. So it says, O'side Oasis, I'm not going to be able to read that. Approved for the dates, complete your booking, deposit, and sign. Okay, so on my phone, the link is going to take the user back here. So I'm already logged in here. It's going to go to my reservation. And then we can see this is what the user is going to see. So we're very transparent about pricing. And again, I'm updating this in real time. And then let's go through the reservation experience. Okay, so confirm your stay. Again, it's telling them when and how they'll be charged. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this and pause my screen. And I'm going to actually pay here, and then we'll go over to Stripe, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so for obvious reasons, I didn't show my credit card here. So I went through and entered my credit card information. This is all powered through Stripe. Okay. So this is probably what people are going to do. They'll just sign this. But we do have this short-term rental agreement here. So these are all the legal things that we want to be careful about. Okay, so we'll go back here and sign and confirm. So now as a guest, I can see my upcoming reservation. Now we can see this interface here. So once I've reserved, what I can do is pay for pool heating if I want it. And this is just going to automatically add this to what I'm going to be charged before this actually starts. So I was just charged as the guest for this. So Amex thought it was fraud, but so we can see that that's working. Now let's go over to Stripe. Some refreshing Stripe on the left. So we can see I was able to add 3 days of heating, then 4 days of heating. We can see that that money is already in the Stripe account. So we can see both of those were charged. I'm going to change this in real time. So the pool heating fee should happen once the booking actually begins. It probably shouldn't be in advance, but we can see that everything's working as far as how things are being charged. And then the last thing before we end this segment, let's go back over to the owner's dashboard. So we see our reservations. So I need to add here on the right, giving guests the ability to cancel this reservation. On the left here, so we can see all bookings. We can see all interactions with this person. Let's quickly go look at the history of chat messages here. Okay, so we have the ability to see all the different chat messages, and what I'll do in a second is I'll show that we can create a report per guest to see everything that that person asked about. Okay, then quickly let's go over to Google Voice. So we can see in the same thread, we see the request, and then we can see I'm informed that this was confirmed and paid, and I'm confirming. I can see that on my phone as well. So everything is accessible via mobile. So all major notifications are going to go to mobile as well as email. Okay, so this ends the actual booking experience. So someone is booked. So the next thing I would do here is an admin. So this is a critical manual process. If this was a real booking, is I'd have to come back over to Airbnb, and then I would just block off this time. So we always want to honor direct bookings, obviously, first. And then so as soon as we approve a booking, we'll have to go into the Airbnb calendar and block that off. So this ends the demo of the booking experience from a potential renter and an admin. So for this part of the demo, I'm actually switching over to my IDE. So this is what we'll, get our manager set up with, as well as me. But so this is super easy to do. So like I mentioned, this is just VS Code with the Claude plugin. Everything is doable through a chat interface. So while we were going through the demo and identifying a couple things, we've been updating the site in real time. So I'll just go through one. We mentioned the pricing issue. So all I had to do is basically in the chat interface on the right, tell it what the issue was, tell it exactly what I wanted, and then we can see it went through and actually updated the site in real time and updated pricing, so that when we go back and just refresh that site, we'll see everything is fixed. But with this setup, this makes it incredibly easy to do things. I can also go through, so we're fixing a couple more things here, but at the end, I'll do a demo and I'll ask for some reporting. So I'll ask for a report of all the users and all the chat messages that those users had, so that we can see that here. And then so the way this works is we have our local file system here. So I can go through, we can see our FAQ, we can see the house manual, we can see everything. This is going to be hard to read because everything is optimized for this agent, obviously, but anything that I need, if I want to see the house manual, if I want to check things, if I want to do anything, I can just ask here in the chat for it to produce a document for me. I can ask it to produce anything. It's going to go read the live config in the live file store in GCP, Google Cloud platform. It'll go retrieve that and put it in any format that I want. So this is an example of the new age of digital administration where everything can be chat-based as long as you plug it into your actual live sources of information. Okay, so we're back to the booking dashboard, and we can see that the pricing updates were made in real time. So walking through this, we take the Airbnb total. So like I mentioned, this is cleaning. This is the transient occupancy tax. These are Airbnb fees. So we do need two inputs because it's not clear how Airbnb is actually calculating this. So we need to know the total price, which is going to include our pricing on Airbnb. So that's the only place where we have to maintain pricing. And then also the taxes so that we can calculate this correctly. So the first thing is we obviously want to just take out the taxes. So this subtotal now that we see on the left is the admin. This is going to include the booking fee, or sorry, the cleaning fee, as well as any fees Airbnb is providing. So the easy one is we just take out cleaning. Once we do that, so here, this is now whatever we are charging for rent on Airbnb plus the renter's side fees. So that can be between 14 to 16%. So we are being conservative for us, right? We're only giving the renter back 14%. Airbnb could be charging more. It's not clear how they figure this out, but so we're crediting them back basically the lower end of the spectrum, 14%, and we're showing the renter that we're crediting them another 637. So what this should be is, hypothetically, this is just what we're charging for rent on Airbnb plus any discounts. The first thing we need to add back is actual taxes, so the occupancy tax. So this is the Oceanside policy where they charge 10% on rent. And then we're, being very clear where there's an additional 4% service fee. So that's where we get the 10% discount, right? We credit them back 14, but then we're going to add on 4% to the rent. And then we obviously add cleaning back. So this is how we get to our 10% discount. And then we see our total price here. So if we go through the math of this scenario, this is what someone would be charged booking through Airbnb. What we would net would be roughly this amount. So we take total price, obviously not include tax, that goes elsewhere, and then we would lose about 4% to platform fees. So we would net about $4,600. And then going back to what we're actually netting, so we can see it's about $100 more. So most of these discounts are going to the user. There's obviously some room to experiment with how we're doing discounts, but for now, we're still making more money. The goal here for early stage launch is not to save a bunch of money from Airbnb, but is to create customer loyalty, and is to get people to sign up and do direct bookings so that we can go back, market to them, and then hopefully get most of our bookings in the future direct to our platform, and then at that point we can reduce some of the savings that we're pushing to the customers, and then we can retain that for us. Okay, so then the last thing we're going to cover here is the weekly report. All right, so wrapping this up, this is sent out every Friday. I just manually triggered this. So it's going to give us our total number of users, booking requests, new users. It's going to give us how much the concierge agent is actually being used here on the left. Again, this is sort of an admin's primary dashboard, so it's any upcoming tasks in the next 7 days. And then this part is super cool. So this is going to be the voice of the guest. So it's basically categorizing themes, what people are asking about. It's giving us an overall sentiment. So, when I use this, it was mostly just asking questions about things. So we can see it's mostly either neutral or negative. We can see some key things here for us, the admins, where it's flagging confusion about the booking process. So if we see this would be a trigger for us as admins to go in and add some different language or reimagine that experience. We can see FAQ additions. So what our backend agents are going to do is analyze all the chat messages that are asked from guests and think about, do we want to add direct answers to questions that are being asked over and over, and it's going to give us those recommendations. So when this is actually live and there are users, we will look at this every week, think about this, and then all we have to do is go back into our VS Code IDE, just provide the question and type in the answers that we want, and then what's going to happen, it will go update all the documentation, it'll update the house manual, it'll update the FAQ, and then the agent will then be trained on how to answer these questions. And then at the bottom here are just general recommendations. So we have an agent running in the background that's looking at this entire experience. It's looking at web page responsiveness, it's looking at the database, it's looking at chats, bookings, everything. Any process recommendations you can think of will be provided here at the bottom. So this ends the demo of the O'side Oasis website. This is was basically an internal knowledge transfer video, but offering this publicly just for an overview of what can be done by using agents to build digital ecosystems, how easy it is, and then how beautiful and seamless of an experience you can create for your customers online.